Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Yeah, you'll have to. I don't know if you can hear me, but you'll probably have to cut me off because I have a similar podcast, a similar interview a while back, and that was like a 3 hour story. So, I'll try to condense that into yeah 7 to 10 minutes. Uh, yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfection. Perfection. All right. So I mean, if we begin at the beginning. Oh, do it. Can you hear me okay though? Fantastic. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. That's okay. Yeah. Andrey Psyche. That's okay. Ooh. Oh, oh. Well, first of all, like I am a poet, so I'm trying to convey deep, emotional meanings through through simple language, and once you get to a point of this whatever it is, it truly feels like there's this ethereal substance that's surrounding you, and you're just floating in it, and that's where a lot of mystical principles or religious principles or Buddhist or anything of that nature says don't get attached to anything, because once you let go of all attachments and you attach yourself to the current moment, you start to see yourself floating through life, through the universe, and things start to get a little interesting for the individual. If that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So I was just like everybody else. I'll try to keep this to 10 minutes, obviously. Just like everybody else, and I had my path placed in front of me. You're gonna go to the university. You're gonna study medicine. I'm from a Russian family, and then my parents are like, you're gonna go and be. This is gonna be your legacy. You're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna save lives. You're gonna make money. People are gonna respect you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So going through high school, I had a lot of low self confidence. I was bullied a lot. I was picked on, and then it got to a point where I was like, I'm not worth this. So I turned into the bully, and I started picking people. And then I adopted this masculine mindset of just go out there and just beat the shit out of the world until it subdues to your will. And I lived in that sort of mindset for a really long time. Went through college, went through the university, studied biology, studied medicine, and got to the point of graduating. And I was like, all right, let's go work with the doctor and see how this is all going to pan out. So as I'm working and I'm living with this mindset, it feels like it's me against the world, and I'm proving myself to the doctor, to my patients, to everybody, and my doctor says, all right, like you got a great potential. Let me send you to my med school where I went to in New York, and things will be hunky dory. I was like, cool. Let me think about this. So after about a year of doing this and continuing to do this daily grind and showing up and still loving it, I really enjoy the interaction between people. I got to a point where I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the plunge and go be a doctor. And I had a realization in my mind. As I was driving home to my parents, or to their home, I should say, I had this flash of clarity, at least for that moment, that I've never experienced before. And it gave me the understanding that it was love that I was pursuing. It was the tenderness. It was the connection, the community that I was looking for, rather than anything monetary or anything of that nature. And I projected forward and I asked myself, is this what I really want to do? Do I want to be stuck dedicating another decade of my life to education, to get glory, to get money, to get pride, to get all of these things, or do I want to be with my family, helping raise my young step half sister, be with my mom, be with my dad, be with my brother, and actually see how their life progress throughout this decade. And to me, it just hit me right in the heart. That was the first moment where I allowed love to take over, and I said, you know what? I don't want to give up this once in a lifetime moment for something prestigious like a title or a paycheck. So I was coming home to tell them that I was gonna leave for New York in the next couple weeks, and instead I was like, listen, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave my apartment. I'm gonna leave everything behind, and I'm gonna come and help my mom. She runs her own custom manufacturing business, to go and help you with the business. So this is a perfect time because my stepdad died, and she was just really struggling. So I came in. I started learning how to work with my hands. Actually started using my knowledge as hands-on knowledge and create things on the spot. And at this moment, I was helping. It was already functioning business. She was just struggling. So money wasn't necessarily a problem there. I would just go out there. I learned sales. I learned networking, customer relationships, all that stuff. And I went out and just did my job. Basically, almost took the business over from her and became her protege. So what happened is I started creating with or playing with just random things. Up until this point, art was worthless. Music was worthless. I thought, why would anybody be spending time on this? It's just background noise. I listened to a lot of techno just to get me pumped about doing whatever the flip I was doing that I found useful. And I had this moment of transformation. I was running my CNC router to engrave some sort of image, and boom, just lightning just hit me. And I had this understanding, this clarity, this embodiment of the knowledge that I am the creator of my life. That anything and everything that happens around me, whether it's the relationships that form in front of me, or just even the state of the world, I accepted responsibility for how it is. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, I can't sleep on this information. I can't put out the fire of my spirit in this moment, and I have to go and express myself fully. So that moment, that realization allowed me to just go into painting, go into poetry, go into music, go into dancing, go into acting, go into all these ways of expression, because I understood it to be deeper than just that expression. I understood it to be the creation of the individual that would participate in the world to then create ripples of effects that happen between connections of other people, and then it's like the butterfly effect. One good deed leads to another good deed leads to another good deed, and then before you know it, boom, the world is a much happier place in that sense. So once that hit me, I just couldn't sit back and stop creating excuses. Dove into meditation, dove into spirituality, dove into health, because health is the greatest key to freedom. If you don't have health, you can't do anything, no matter how much desire or passion you might have. So I started cleaning out my world. I started cleaning out my body to show up ready to for anything, you know. And very slowly through a lot of discipline, work, and late nights and early mornings, I find myself here and just in a completely transformed life where love has found me personally, as to just accept myself for who I am, for anything that might happen inside of me. I don't bottle up anything anymore. As you can see, these are all my emotions on all of my things here, and I've come to a place that feels like just almost like emptiness, like a zen spot where I'm in the center of the I'm in the eye of the hurricane, and from there I can make much better judgments about where I can go and where I can lead other people to find their own peace. Hopefully that was good. Mhm. 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 Mm. Oh, that's powerful. Mhm. 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 So for the longest time, like I said, I jump into a lot of meditative practices, and as I was experiencing these shifts of myself, of my energy, coming from a scientific perspective of being an atheist, I needed language that could describe what I was going through. So I was like, all right, here's the things that I've been experiencing. What is out there that can put some words to it? So I started diving into Buddhism, Hinduism, mysticism, Hermeticism, just a lot of different things that have been around for a really long time, and Buddhism is one of the things that really grabbed me early on with that quote. Buddha said attachment leads to suffering. And for a while you can mull it over and it's like, what does that even mean? And there's a story where he says, all right, you have a vase and you love this vase. If you're attached to this vase, when the vase breaks, you're gonna feel a severing, and you're gonna feel pain because you've been attached to this vase. But if you live every day as if the vase was already broken, then every moment you spend with that vase is gonna be filled with pure love. And the day that it is broken, gets broken, which it eventually will, you don't feel that loss because it's been broken all along, if that makes sense. So it later, so that idea, I practiced it heavily. Like when I was starting to just, I remember there's this moment that I flipped 180, and I could even see myself looking back at myself, and I was like, how the flip did I get here? How I can see that man, I can see that person right there, but I'm not that man. I can see a clear distinction between these 2 points, and it happened right here. And I remember practicing this, and I had a girlfriend at the time, a brand new one just came along, and I even told her the same thing. I love you, not attached to you. If you ever want to leave, like, please do. And this is completely backwards from how I was the first relationship, even second relationship, because I was so attached, so much codependency. I was like, you can't leave. You must be with me. I don't want you to go out there. I don't want to lose you. And the goal was always like, how do I love you? I want to love you. I just want to protect you. I want to make sure you feel loved. But what it was, yeah, it was again, just the abuser. I was projecting my own insecurities. I was projecting my own, I don't know, misunderstanding of what love was. And when I realized to let go of attachment and just be there with the present moment, then it's like the universe opened up and love made more sense. Love is just the appreciation of that moment and taking it in as it is, rather than putting your mental projections on an individual or an environment, and then living in a fantasy world that doesn't exist. If you can let go of attachments, you can be present and actually see for what it is, and from that, oh my gosh, you can start creating just unimaginable portraits with your life. Nice. Mm-hmm. 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 Mhm. Mhm. Mm. Mhm. Mm. Yeah. Mhm. 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 So the mind is a beautiful thing, and this is why, like, I love digging. Kind of like you said, kind of mindless task, because those mindless tasks are it's when you allow your brain, your thoughts to just kind of rest into into a meditative state, like you said yourself, alpha brain or beta or delta. I'm not too gets into one of those. And as you kind of get yourself into that mental state, you start to what's the word? Contemplation, right? It's different from thought. Thoughts will sit there and they will eat you up. And what if this and what if that? Futures, past, all these things that don't exist. Contemplation is just a thought about ideas, and you allow an idea to just kind of marinate and evolve into whatever it is. You plant a seed and you allow the tree to just sprout out there. So to get to that point, same thing. I was meditating. I took health seriously. I started cleaning my body. Took started eating organic. Took all the pesticides out. Exercising regularly. Or at least being very active. And all of that, and literally crying almost every night from my meditations because I would be uncovering so many deep buried emotions and deep buried just interactions, moments that I was like, man, that was me. I said that to my mother. I said that to my best friend, and I'd come out just tears. And then next day I would have to come out and just retribution. I'm sorry I did that. And they're like, what? It's like, it doesn't matter if you don't remember. I did this, and I know it was. I don't want to say wrong or right because those don't exist, but I know it was painful for you. And as it took a whole year of just that daily basis. I was meditating 3 hours a day, probably one in the morning, one midday, one at night, and it was that fertile ground that I created. That then, when I found myself in these mundane tasks, and I found myself contemplating whatever ideas were all around me, just this clarity, this pureness. I feel like I was in the right place to have that um, lightning strike hit me, my aha moment, my moment of enlightenment that allowed me to see something beyond myself. As soon as I took myself out of the picture, then you could start to see the universe that is around you. And I don't credit the mundane tasks, but the tasks definitely get you into a place where then you can become receptive to whatever is around us. Hmm? Mm-hmm. 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 True. Mhm. 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 Mm. Mhm. 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 Oh, it's sounds good. No. Mhm. 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 Okay. So I completely definitely agree with what you're saying. And when somebody's feeling that way, and they feel like they're empty, they're actually full of other people's garbage, basically, right? And they're empty of their own desires. They're not following their own heart. So uh, in this scenario, I guess I wanted to take this into a little bit of philosophy. So I don't know if you've ever read Friedrich Nietzsche or just even had an understanding of him, but he talks that every individual has three um, stages of life. You're either the camel, in today's terms, like the sheep, the lion, or the baby, or the child. So the camel, he goes out there and he goes to the world and he just lives doing normal mundane tasks of whatever it may be. Just go to work, have kids, buy things, whatever it is, and it's a life, right? If you want to choose that, if you want to live that life, it's also a life. Like every life is worth living. There's no right and there's no wrong. If you get to the point and start questioning that, it's like, wait, what am I really doing here? You get to the point of a lion, and the job of a lion, the second stage, is to find all the thou shouts. And those thou shouts are attached to a dragon. Each scale has thou shalt love your mother, thou shalt listen to your boss, thou shalt whatever, anything that we've been programmed to believe. This dragon has them on every scale, and the job of a lion is to come in there and rip every scale off, every single one. And the moment, and this is going to take a long time, the moment that you've inspected every single contract that you've signed, willingly or unwillingly, and you inspect it and say, all right, put this down. You get to a point of this nothingness, of this emptiness. Now life has no meaning. Now life has no objective. It has nothing that you need to do or need to abide by. And a lot of people can find this spot as scary because it's almost like death, because it is death. It's a personal death. It's the death of a personality, of the ego. That's why most people will not go there. It's they're afraid of death. But if you find yourself there, there's two kinds of people. One will go into nihilistic terms. It's like, oh, there's no point. Fuck it. And the other people are like, oh, there's no point. I get to create the point. If you get to that point, now you're the child, and now you have the understanding of if this is all just a huge playground, what do I want to fill it with? I'll fill it with these sort of relationships. I'll fill it with this sort of work. I'll fill it with this sort of government. I'll fill it with this anything and everything until you're just completely satisfied. So that's why I want to piggyback to the death part. Like personally, man, I love death so much. I think death is the most beautiful, misunderstood thing that we share into the world, and everybody's so afraid of the unknown. But the unknown is the most beautiful part. You know, we can sit here and conceive what can it be, what will it be. But if you find yourself in love with death, if you find yourself not running toward it, but looking forward to the encounter of this event that only happens once in a lifetime, you give yourself the permission to live every single day. Because now you're like, all right, well, that's going to come, and I'm going to look forward to that. But what am I going to do until I get there, to the point of getting there? And if you're not afraid of death, every single day you're going to be like, well, I can take a risk. What's the worst that can happen? Death. I'm looking forward to that, you know? So, at least personally for me, that was initially what got me there, just understanding of death a little bit better, and then starting creating the life that I wanted to live. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. I too love that. Like that's why when I started diving into it, like I became an omnist. Now I'm just like, all right, I see the truth in everything. So I'm because before, man, you say the word God and I cringe. I was like, ugh. And now I'm just like, all right, like this is what it is, and there's all this beauty around me. And okay, let's take this. Here's a piece of the truth. Here's a piece of the truth. And yeah, religions or spirituality or anything of that nature, it's all a unifying idea of, hey, let's all get connected with ourselves, with everybody else, because we are the same. We're different expressions of the same entity, of the same essence. It's like so when that again clicked with me, I was like, ah, oh, Unconditional love just came flowing, and nothing matters. Like, you can come in here and you can say all a bunch of negative things, or you can just you spit in my face, try to punch me, and I'm like, all right, I know you're feeling that way, and you're trying to project that onto me. And how can I get you to forget about that moment, that part, and elevate you to a better part? And honestly, like, I find so much beauty in human interaction now. Anytime I go anywhere and just just meet people, I just best friends everywhere, and it's gold. And contrasting it to the very beginning of my life, I could have never imagined that. Because again, that mentality, me versus the world, it showed itself everywhere. And now it's me with the world, and it shows itself everywhere. So that really plays to the fact of, you know what, you get what you want, you get what you think about. If you want your life to change, if you want to build a legacy, if you want something beautiful to happen, you have to create that within, and then it's going to express itself without. And again, so many religions say that. Uh, what was it? As above, so below. As the universe, so the soul. You know, it's amazing, and just it's just so amazing. It's magic. Ah. Mhm. 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 Yeah, I read somewhere it's like you can't speak the truth in uh, just blatant terms kind of thing, because people can't accept that. That's why you have to write it in symbology. You have to write it in a language that they can personally uh, place themselves into. That's at least where my poetry and my philosophy comes in. In philosophy, I try to write it blatant truth. I was like, here's what happens. And honestly, I've had much more positive response to the poetry book that I wrote. And it's a lot more, just like kind of like Rumi, a little mysticism in there. And it's, I create like a lattice of words that create imagery and sensations that then people can project their own life onto and then see themselves in it. And I think that's what separates, like, good art or bad art. Not saying I'm a good artist, but at least I've had good positive reflections of people saying, "Hey, I see myself in this poem," and I'm like, "Sweet, awesome." And that's because we all share that commonality of the pain of being distanced from the source, from whether you say God or universe or our greater self, our perfect self. We have that separation here, and it's always that step up to get closer to that pureness. Biggest naysayer. Wow, that is a good question. Biggest naysayer. Uh, like, I mean, it's always yourself. You are your hardest critic. And I still have to say it's myself, because around me I have people that supported me, even though they wanted me to go a different direction. The moment I decided to take a step for myself and stand up for something I believed in, even though they tried to stop me, again, like, family, they tried to make you do something more reasonable. Why not go do something like this or like that? And same thing with friends. Why not be more reasonable? I haven't had one individual that's like, you're crap and everything you do is wrong. I don't think I've ever had that. But people, just the community that you're part of, they feel like they almost own you in a way because they've helped you grow up, they have to raise, they've known who you were, and they want to attach their idea of who you are to that part that they already know. And the moment you decide to grow or do something different, they're like, wait, this isn't who you are. Don't do that. Why are you doing that? So it was just little pebbles being thrown left and right everywhere, and even a thousand pebbles can kill you too. So I remember that at least the first moment that I decided to put that down. I grew out my hair. Like I had my hair down to my chest basically, and I've always had it like about this length. And I started growing it out, and man, everybody's like, "You got to cut it. You're looking feminine. You look like a girl. You shouldn't do that. You look stupid. Just cut it right now." And I'm like, "No, this is who I am. This is what I want to do right now, and you will not control me." And very slowly, that little small action of taking back my personal space led to the next one, taking back my personal space. And I got to a point where literally now, anything I do, people support me, and they're like, you know what? You've proven yourself to know what you're doing, even though we might not see your vision. You see your vision, you're executing it, and you know what? Keep it up. Keep it up. Mm-hmm. 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 I completely agree. Mm-hmm. Mm. So the best place, honestly, is my website, andreypsyche.com, AndreyPsyche, and there I try to post just the hub of everything I have, and then beyond that, I'm very active on Facebook. You can send me a personal Facebook invitation if you'd like, just not even a group. If you want to come to the group, it's just the same stuff I have on Instagram. So, but if you want to have a personal connection with me, which I encourage, just Andrey Psyche, you're going to see this face looking with some, like I did some digital art over my the background, and I'm like all fabulous. So yeah, you find me on Facebook, very active there. Instagram, also Andre.Psyche, but I also have 8 other Instagram pages, each one separating my talents, poetry, music. I'm Russian, so I have a Russian page if you speak Russian, and then memes and just a bunch of stuff. I just try to express myself as clearly as possible to reach the people that I want to reach. And yeah, the best place is my my website, and then from there on, you can email me, and then I can give you more if you'd like. That's it. Yeah. You're right. it, it is not. It's like what, top 3? I think. I think Mandarin's number 1. I think Japanese, and then Russian's right up there. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. 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 Oh, that's beautiful, right? Mhm. 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 Yeah, just time, dedication, and a desire. If you have those things, you got anything. All right, let's do it. Hmm. Ooh, what is holding me back? Nothing. Hardest thing I've ever had to accomplish has been um, just seeing myself for who I was. Mm. Oh, the love that I've fostered in my heart for myself and others. Mm. One secret that contributes to my success: the understanding of quantum mechanics. Yeah, that's a deep question and answer. Mhm. 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 Right? Me too. That moment, I was like, wait, what a second? Like the observer principle, the wave particle duality. I was like, wait, what are you saying right now? Okay, okay. And then I took it, and then you take it into your own personal life, and then you express it, and that's what all this is. That's all what this is. So definitely, you already mentioned one, which was the Four Agreements. I feel like everybody's already read that, and if you haven't, please do so. A second book that I found a lot of value in was what was that one that I said? The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita, and it doesn't have to be just a man. A woman can read it too, and there's a lot of just I don't want to say tutorials, but there's a lot of ideas that really get you to consider the life that you've been living and what it does mean to be a better man, what it means to be a man in general, and what a woman is, and how those relationships play off each other. And another one that I want to suggest that maybe not even a book, it's an author, and his name is Leonard. Ah, Where's this book? Leonard. Leonard. I'm gonna grab this book right now. Leonard, where are you? Aha! Thank you for your patience. His name is Leonard Schlein, and this man is he combines like the art and the science together so beautifully that and he dives into so many different topics. I mean, this one that I have is Leonardo's brain, so the brain of Leonardo da Vinci. And then he talks about one where society versus or not society, language versus the goddess, how language served to lift up patriarchy and kind of destroy the matriarchy kind of thing, or and pull down the feminine side. So he goes into so many deep societal ideas, how we figured out time, and I'm sad that he died like 10 years ago because I wanted to talk to him. He's got lectures. He's got about 5 books. Each one of them is pure gold, if anything. And if you like science and art, creativity, just a mixture of both masculine and feminine, that's the guy to talk to through his books. Mm-hmm. Yes. Ah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, obviously, like all my art or my music, the podcast, all the words that I speak, everything is about connectedness. Everything is about understanding. Everything is about finding yourself and creating a sovereign individual. So I'm hoping that down the line, they're sitting there and they're listening to this podcast, and they're like, "Man, Grandpa Psyche was really on it. Like he's sitting there, preaching love and freedom." So then, I'm hoping my children would teach their children to not be a reflection of who they are, but an embodiment of who that child, that individual is. So just the upbringing of a person for their true aspects rather than our projections of who we think other people should be. And I know people who are doing this already, and I respect them greatly. I know that you can't blame your parents for not doing it because we're all operating under our best pretenses. So I hope my legacy is that do your best, allow other people to do their best, and just love them regardless what they choose, because there is no right, there is no wrong. Every life is worth living, and if somebody chooses a life that you don't agree with, still love them, even if you have to love them from a distance. Oh. Mhm. 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 Mm-hmm. And it's such a wonderful podcast. I love your questions. I love your I mean your note taking. You're really diving into really good topics, just from the beginning and just expanding it out. I love your process. It's such a beautiful experience, and to experience your brain and connect with you as well. Like this is just candy to the soul, honestly. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing this with me and everybody else. And man, I'm looking forward to tune in and seeing what else happens through your brain, because you, my friend, you got some juicy thoughts in there. Yeah. Juicy.